artificial intelligence, that's the one thing that I can talk about, is not something new. It was probably started in 1956, almost 60, 70 years back, but now there is an industry buzz around that everybody is thinking about it.
I'll introduce the audience about Shubhabrata Mohanty, who is a cloud and IoT security expert with proven abilities as a strong technology and product development leader in building complex and large enterprise products from scratch and seamless integration of emerging technologies in a large user community. An industry speaker on cloud computing and big data analytics, Shubhabrata holds more than 8 US patents in cloud security, virtualization security, network security, and data analytics. And he's also a recipient of the Symantec CEO's Award and High Potential Leader Award at Symantec again. His specialities include, he's an industry leader in cybersecurity, as I already mentioned, that is cloud and IoT, in deep machine learning, public cloud and virtualization security, Internet of Things, big data analytics, and security intelligence. Today we are going to hear about emerging technologies and product innovation from India and how next-gen technologists should prepare from Shubhabrata Mohanty. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Shubhabrata.
Thank you. This is working? Hello? Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Very nice. So, I'm extremely privileged and honored to be part of this TechFest. Thanks for having me here. And I'm really excited to share my experiences because 20 years back, I was exactly at your position, right? So I did my engineering 20 years back. I was really excited that time and software was just emerging, right? So after spending 20 years in the industry, today I really want to talk about what I've learned, right? Because I'm sure you are much more advanced than what we were 20 years back. I'll briefly talk about today. I have like 30 minutes. I'm sure I'll be able to finish within 30 minutes. I'll talk about what is innovation, product innovation, what it means, because I'm sure like you are, as I heard, like many of you are in first year, second year, third year, and final year as well, right? And you have a lot of aspirations to join products companies, right? Is that true? No. Okay. Yes? Yes. So, let's look at like some of these things that we need to look at what's happening around the world. Can I change my mic, please? I'll use the other one. That's much better, yeah. Okay. So if you look around, like what's happening around the world, right? So we talk about a lot of emerging technologies happening around the world, cloud, IoT. A lot of people talk about what's happening, right? If you look at technology, technology is just an enabler. It's going to change the way we live our life. Now, if you look at any individual, like me, you, or every individual living on this earth, what's the most critical thing that we carry, right? So I'm different from you, you are different from your colleagues, everybody is different. The reason is that if you look at any individual or you look at any organizations, your college, various universities, the most critical thing is certain behavioral patterns, certain characteristics, right? Everybody has certain characteristics. These characteristics and some of these patterns that you only particularly carry, your intelligence, your talent, your certain educational background, your professional background, the most critical thing is the data. Because we exist, we are different from others because we have certain data within us. So if you go around, look at the entire business world, what is the most critical thing? Every organization is different, every organization talks about something different, they do something different. The data. The data is the most critical thing that world probably carries today, right? Every country, region, company, individuals are different. Data. If you look at what's happening around the data, anything and everything that you can imagine around the data, like your friends may be talking about in the colleges, in a computer science background, you must be talking about data, database, data management, data analytics, big data. Anything and everything that you think or can imagine around the data is going to change the world. It was important 100 years back, it's important today, it's going to be important in 50 or 100 years down the line as well. How you manage the data, how you interpret the data, and how you extract meaning out of the data is going to be extremely important. So I did not put any label on my slide because I did not really want to talk about like whether data analytics is important or big data is important or data management is important. But anything and everything that you can think of around the data is going to be extremely important. So every individual organization will carry some information around that. The next thing is that if you look at when computers were not invented, humans used to do everything, right? Then computers came into the picture. When I started my first job, I started with a 4 MB RAM, right? And probably now, like every individual, big corporates, some high-end technology developers are using 256 GB RAM, up to, right? And you guys are using probably 8 GB or 16 GB of RAM. The world has changed. The technology has changed. The power of machine has changed. The computers has revolutionized our entire society. So, but what we want, we are humans, right? Computers are not working on their own. It's humans making computers work. Now, what do we want down the line, right? So anything that you can interpret from this, anything that you can interpret from this image, what does this image talk about? Okay, it represents a human brain. And we are different, humans are different from anybody, any other species. Why? Because humans are the only species probably, and different from humans is that we can think. And we can think because the biological, we have a frontal, and the animals do not have frontals, right? We can think. Now, because we are using computers who's helping us in terms of doing some of the things great, some of the things faster, what do we want down the line? Do we really want to feed something to the computer and computers will do things for us? No. We want to change that, and the world has been thinking this for years. If you look at something, we want to make computers behave like human brains. We want to interpret, the computer should interpret how the humans think in their brain. Because based on the situations, based on what to interpret, how to interpret, decisions making, everything that humans can think of, when they feed to the computers, then the computers' programs work. Artificial intelligence, that's the one thing that I can talk about, is not something new. It was probably started in 1956, almost 60, 70 years back, but now there is an industry buzz around that everybody is thinking about that. We want to change computer to a human brain, and we want to generate intelligence out of the computer. That's another emerging technology that's happening around the world, and that's going to change. It's not going to change the way we live our life, not only change that, it's not going to take our job, but computers are going to be much more smarter than the humans as well. And it could happen like 50 years, 10 years, 100 years down the line. If you think about like artificial intelligence that a lot of people talk about, then I saw like a lot of technical sessions today, they will talk about like machine learning, which is nothing but a branch of artificial intelligence. But artificial intelligence is not just about machine learning or deep learning or neural networks. It's all about every branch of science that can do or can interpret human brains and can start doing the job of a human being through computers. Be it like speech recognition, image recognition, you can think of anything that computers can do automatically, right? To do that, we as humans need to feed a lot of data, train the computers on certain models, and do the things like that. So artificial intelligence, be it like speech recognition space, image recognition, self-driven car, like which is really being a big hype, and revolutionary is happening in the developed countries. These are some of the applications of that. But anything and everything that we can think of around us is probably going to be run through a artificial intelligence. That's another space which is emerging, and then you need to really have a watch on that. The another thing, if you look at it, right, today, I mean, in a professional world, right? So we spend most of our time in office, right? We spend our office, most of our day's time in office. We spend most of our time at home. And as students, you are spending a lot of your time in colleges and home, right? But if you look at how things are changing from home to office or home to college, there is also one space which is emerging as being working as a third home. Can you guess? What's that? Internet. Internet can be also at home and office as well. If you really look at it, and mostly in the developed, underdeveloped, and developing countries, there is another space is road. Maximum of time, 20 to 25% of our time we spend on road. So when we say road, that means either we are in our like two-wheelers or four-wheelers. One space that definitely we are going to change. And you go to any countries around the world, you will see people either at home, office, or some entertainment places, but they are also spending a lot of their time into in their car as well. So three things: home, office, and car. And today, all of you, like Ankur talked about Facebook. How is Facebook helping? Not just spending our time. Facebook is all about staying connected, right? When we passed out, we don't even like remember all of our friends. We are not connected with all of our friends. But today, I'm sure you all are in engineering. You have a lot of your childhood friends, friends in 10th and 12th, right? You are still connected. Technology is helping us to stay connected, and eventually the entire human society would like to stay connected. Internet is a big revolution in terms of getting connected in the information space. But in terms of a physical space, we really want to be connected. So while I'm in car, I want to be connected at home. I want to be connected at office. Apart from the industries looking at how to revolutionize or leverage the technology, the three things that there is one technology that's going to change or is going to revolutionize the entire technology space is the Internet of Things. IoT, right? So these are the acronyms that is used, IoT. So Internet of Things would definitely help to make everything connected. My home information devices, consumer electronics, my office, a car, right? So I would definitely to connect it. So when I'm in office or I'm on my road, I would definitely like to connect it to my home, switch on my TV, switch on my AC, switch on my washing machine, right? At a consumer level, I would definitely like to be connected. And similarly, industry is also looking for all the manufacturing space is now looking for how to leverage technology, stay connected. But out of all of these, right, so there is cloud, there is big data, a lot of these technologies, but I just wanted to keep it in three things: data, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence. But if you look at all of these three, it's my personal belief is that that's going to one thing that definitely is going to rule the world in terms of technology. Any guesses? What does it mean? Sorry? Security. Very, very important thing. Be it physically, information-wise, data, internet, digital, anything that you can think of in this world. My personal belief is that security is going to be at the center, right? Nuclear plant, if they think about IoT automation, what if like somebody runs the turbine? What if somebody controls the entire nuclear plant remotely, hack into the system, and that can completely devastate the entire world as well. Security is going to be at the center of everything, be it a physical security or IT security or any security that you can think of is going to be at the center. Now let's look at, like I just want, because you are young entrepreneurs, so you are very young energy, right? So you would definitely like, because some of the things that we have not achieved in India today as a technologist, personally if I include myself as well, I believe the mass here is going to change India in next 10 to 20 years, right? Because you are the talent, you are going to rule India in next 20 years, it's not me. Right? It's not like people who have spent 10, 20 years, the energy, the talent in this auditorium is going to rule India definitely 10 to 20 years down the line. So if you look at our existing Indian startups ecosystems, why I want to talk about that? Because everybody wants to be a technologist, everybody wants to change the world, everybody wants to change the way we live our life. I'll just quickly go through some of the statistics, right? India is emerging and suppressed recently China, and we are the third largest startup ecosystems in the world after US and UK. That means, in terms of technology powerhouse, definitely we're there in last 10 to 20 years. In the startup ecosystems, we are changing and rapidly changing, and we are at the third place. In terms of the total funding that happened last year is $4.5 billion, which is significant. And it was, of course, like last year was not as significant as 2014. Now let's, the third thing, right? So you can ignore the first four blocks, but the last one, let's look at it, right? I'm at 40s, right? I'm just 40. 28 years, that's the average age of the founders in India today, which is a big, big, big achievement, right? It's much less than what I'm today, slightly or more than what you are at today. But this is one area definitely you guys will help us to change. We need to bring down this 28 years to closer to 20 years. Entrepreneurship, startups, this should not be just thought of like something that you do only after passing engineering, right? It has to be inculcated into the schools, colleges, the entrepreneurship has to start. And the average age, the last block, if you look at it, it has to significantly come from 28 to 20 kind of range. If you go to US, probably it starts much early in the life. The last one, if you look at 36% of founders are engineers, which is good. It's not that startups are only happening in the technology space. It's happening in all spaces, right? It's happening in the manufacturing, healthcare, a lot of other spaces. But unfortunately, the 6% of the founders are women, right? And this is where probably we need to do a much better job as a country. And this can only be possible if you guys come forward and start thinking in a very, very different directions. So 6% women founders, probably the world, India would be extremely happy that if that becomes 60%, right? We need to ensure that the culture of innovation, the culture of startup, the culture of entrepreneurship, we need to bring in much early at the stage. In India, there are multiple spaces. I do not really want to talk about or restrict your thoughts which space is emerging, right? So you think about the retail space, that some of these companies like Snapdeal, the Flipkart, that changed the world, automotive, maybe it's Uber and Ola, particularly Ola, an Indian company. There are a lot of other companies. I do not want to talk about any specific company, but there are a lot of spaces, starting from your industrial automation to healthcare, to the retail, security, cloud. There are a lot of spaces that India is changing itself in terms of bringing in new innovation and product. In terms of the B2C and B2B, because this is the terminology that you guys use typically in the college, right? The consumer, because we contribute 17% to the entire world population, we have a huge opportunity to do a lot of things in the B2C space, right? When we talk about consumers, because we have that power of the 17% population in the world. But B2B, that means the building something, writing something, creating some solutions for the industry, or for the business, for the enterprise is also another area to watch for. Now let's look at what are the things that we need, right? So we talked about technology, we talked about Indian startups ecosystem changing, what it means for you, right? Is it innovation, it's just about having a creative ideas? No, that's not true, right? So creativity is not just about innovation. Creativity is just about having some thoughts. Innovation is taking your creativity or creative ideas to a business solutions and monetize this. When I say monetize that, you convert your creative ideas to a solution, to a business plan, or that you think you can solve for others. So what are the things that are required, right? So when I was in college and I was exactly at your place, I used to think that like probably technology is the best thing. I'm the best coder, I know learn C, C++, Java, all of these technology. If I write the best software programs, probably I can generate the most beautiful product in the world. That's no longer true, right? Technology is just a part of it. And we are very passionate about technology. Technology is the enabler that's going to change the world. But ultimately, it has to solve the problem for somebody, right? Ankur talked about Facebook, right? So what does Facebook do? If I go and explain a lot of this technology to my end customers, end users, do you think they are going to understand this? Because you are in the computer science background, many of the things I can explain, If Facebook comes forward and explains that, you will understand. But a person who does not have any technology background is not going to understand anything and everything about technology. So product innovation, definitely the thought leadership. Thought leadership is coming up with those creative ideas, have a thoughtful mind to think, where are the problems existing? Right? It's very important that before I come up with a solution, I need to understand technology. I need to understand the problem. Maths helps us or teaches us that analytical skills, right? It helps us that how to approach a particular problem. I don't think we are using maths anywhere today, right, in our corporate life. But what it has taught us that how to look at a problem and solve it. Thought leadership is all about, it's a very broad area. It's all about your creative ideas, how you're thinking through a particular problem, how, are you being enough creative in terms of understanding what are the challenges that the world is going to face 100 years down the line, or 10 years down the line, or 20 years down the line. So thought leadership is one definitely that we all need to have it. Technology, yes, because we are in computer science and you guys are in computer science, you understand technology. Technology is not just about like the software programming language. It's about anything that you can think of is going to change or solve a particular problem. Domain leadership, it's very important. If you really want to do something in the automotive space, something in the e-retail space, something in the, let's say, healthcare, it's very important that you understand that space, right? If you really want to apply artificial intelligence, and that's another research area that is happening in the healthcare industry, that instead of doctors looking at the behavioral patterns, the diagnostics characters, can the system, computers start predicting or recommending medicines? Which is going to change the world, right? Definitely, it's going to be more accurate. But it's very important that if I really want to do something, I need to understand that particular domain. Domain means that particular business segment, that particular industry. If you really want to come forward and build a software for healthcare industry, it's important that you understand how healthcare industry works. The last thing is the product leadership. As I mentioned, it's not just about a technology, it's not about a creative ideas, it's also about a proper business plan. Right? Product leadership is about conceptualizing the ideas and ending with a proper sales and marketing plan as well. You may be a great programmer, can write the best program which does not have any defects. It runs super fast, even on a 4 GB, 2 GB computer. But it's not just about that. You need to sell the solutions to somebody who is going to buy it and who is going to consume it for a certain purpose. So it's important that product leadership, it starts with your research to conceptualizing the ideas, developing, writing the software, ending with a proper sales and marketing plan elsewhere. This is where India has placed itself in the world as a technology hub. But I think this is the space where we need to do a radical change, and we can tell the world that not just technology, we can also the end-to-end product leadership as well. That means we are the guys who understand the entire world, different markets. We can think of solutions, we can think of technology, and we are going to build the product or the solutions that also can help to monetize our entire set of ideas as well. Now, these are the 4 characteristics of the components of the product innovation that will help in terms of as a technology mind. But what else? Is that enough? Right? So why are we talking about a very practical system of education system in India? So quickly, I'll take you through like 4 components that I personally believe, right? It may not be the exact one. Communication. Communication is going to be extremely critical factor for anybody coming out of college, moving to either startup or the entrepreneurship or to the corporate world. Communication is not about just how you talk, what language you use to talk. It's all about your articulating your ideas, right? You may have great ideas, you are not able to represent it properly. You are not able to articulate what and how you are going to solve this problem. Communication is probably, we need to do a much better job, and I'm sure like people like you definitely help to change that. Fail fast, learn fast. It's very important that everything that we do, we are not going to get success, right? Failure is also a part of that. And you would be surprised to know that the statistics says that 80 to 90% of our ideas fail, only 10% or less than that clicks, right? But we should be able to predict the failure from what we are doing. We should be able to realize this very fast, and we should be able to learn and correct this. These are all the soft skills that we as technologists, we as students, right to have this, build this culture right from our education system. The first cycle experiment. You want to do something, you want to try out something, you need to do that quickly. First cycle experiment is going to be very important. It's not just about like, I have an idea, I'll think something, I'll take like 5 years to build it. The world is moving very, very fast, right? We need to be in a mode of quickly developing something, first cycle experimenting something, looking at whether it's working and changing, taking a course correction. The last one, which we are not very good at, right? And biculturally, if you look at all of our states today, there may be a variation, the risk-taking ability. Because that's something is, if you compare ourselves with any developed countries like US and UK, they're far more, much ahead in terms of the risk-taking abilities. We don't take risks because that's how we have been taught in our education system. School and colleges, we don't want to take risk, right? Okay, I did 10th, I got 90%, I'm good in maths and science. How many of you would have tried to do something outside of engineering? Not, right? Because we want a job at the end of the day. We think like engineering probably the safest bet. And I was actually in a few of the engineering counseling. I saw that all the computer science software seats get filled up fast. It doesn't start from civil engineering, chemical engineering, then to computer science, right? Because we don't want to take risks, because there is a huge plenty of job in India, and we think being in software can easily give us a job. The risk-taking ability is part of our culture. Culturally, we need to change as a country, as a region in the world that, yes, people sitting in India are not a technologist, they are not very creative, they also can equally take risk, right? This is very important. So I briefly talk about what are the emerging spaces. I talked about how the Indian startup ecosystems is changing, adapting a lot of these young talents. And what are the things that product innovation means? Innovation is not just about creative ideas. So I'm not sure like I'll have enough time to take any questions today. I'll be here for another next 2 hours. If you have any questions, feel free to, I'll be happy to respond. I'll briefly talk about, because I'm from CDK, what we do as a company. CDK is a company got spun off from ADP. I'm sure like people belonging to Hyderabad know about both ADP and CDK. It's a founded in 1972, but 2014 got spun off from ADP. We have approximately 8,000 associates. What is the domain that we are into? We are into the automotive space, mainly into the retail segment of automotive space. We build ERP solutions, we build big data analytics solutions, we are trying to be in IoT, we are also like into the digital marketing as well. In terms of the technology, all of this technology I'm sure is extremely familiar to you. I'm sure like the computer science students today, starting from like first year, people also in the 11 and 12, they learn a lot of these programming languages like C, C++, Java, and we are always excited about writing tons of languages that we know of, right? Some of these exciting technologies that we are in, starting from your big data solutions to the UI, like the Angular, to the Green Plum, and Bootstrap, Oracle, and Stats. A lot of technologies that you would think of. I have 2-3 minutes to go, right? So if there is any specific questions, I would be happy to talk about it. Could you please come forward and...
Yes, do we have a question from the audience? Volunteer, could you please?
Sir, I've got to know from, like, the present research is to teach how to forget, like, to the computer. Like, sir, it's like, is it true that the present research is about teaching a computer how to forget. Is it true?
Uh, Not sure if I understood your question properly, but is your question about that teaching computers how to forget?
Yes.
Computers don't remember anything, right? So I'm not sure about the specific research that you are talking about it, but definitely computers do not learn things themselves, right?
Yes,
It's
that's
basically
that.
whatever we feed to the computers. If we ask them to remember, they'll remember, right? If we
Yes.
ask them not to remember, forget, they'll forget. Not sure about your questions, whether you are talking about any specific research,
Like,
but I'm,
I've read this in one of the apps which I have. Uh, it says that, uh, like, like we are trying to make computers more human. Humans forget. Like, so is it that it's necessary for the computer to forget too?
So that definitely I can answer. I talked about that, right? So
Yes.
the research is that how to make computers more like humans.
Yes.
As I exactly mentioned, humans are very different. It's a very special species in the world because the only one ability that we have that animals do not have.
Yes.
We can think, we can interpret, we can take decisions. The ability of a frontal that we have here in our brain, think. Artificial intelligence that I talked about, it's a very broad area. It was probably started in 1956, it's 70 years back. So that research definitely is a huge focus today to make computers behave like a brain so that there is not a human sitting in front of a computer asking computer what to do. When it comes to forget, yes, we forget, right? But computers can also forget today as well. If we do not instruct our computers to remember certain things, they easily forget it, right? But I'm not sure about your forget part, but I definitely I can talk a lot about like how computers, the research is there, starting from each and everything. Blockchain, I saw today actually there is one of the agenda today about blockchain. I'm sure that will be very, very interesting. It's not from a Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency. Also, the world is looking forward to how to make an organization without a CEO as well. Why do they need a CEO? Why do they need to pay a CEO? Because CEOs are there to take the most critical decisions. They drive the strategy and the vision of the organizations. With the blockchain concept, the world is looking forward to drive an organizations without a CEO where the entire decision making is decentralized, given to multiple computers and multiple nodes so that in a given situation they can start thinking about what decisions to take and they can act as a CEO. So definitely in the space of making computers more like a brain, in all segments, starting from a nuclear to manufacturing to healthcare, artificial intelligence is definitely the space. Blockchain is another most interesting space. Forget part, I'm really sorry if I really understood that particular part.
Yes.
One more questions because I have 40 seconds to go. Sure, one more question. Anybody else with another question? Here, we have over here volunteers. Okay, can you get the mic over there?
Okay, I think he's got the mic here. You can take the question offline. Yes, yourself. You can take the question offline.
From many things, I came to know that artificial intelligence is going to bring unemployment too. Is there any solution for that?
Uh, I don't know the answer, but I don't also agree with that, right? When computers started, particularly I'll talk about India, in 1990s or in 1980s, probably you're not born also that time, and I was pretty young actually, right? Everybody has a perception that computers are going to take the jobs away, right? But that's not the case today. Computer particularly had generated huge amount of jobs in the industry. Artificial intelligence, we want to because we are being sophisticated, right? I mean, like 20 years back, we are trying to do certain things. We are dependent on somebody else to do a specialized jobs. Now that slowly that specialized jobs is coming to the large scale of human society, right? So some of the things that, when it comes to like running and playing a computer, earlier, like in 20 years back, it used to be recognized, okay, special people who are trained on computers can run computers, right? Now, anybody and everybody can run computers. Even like the people who are in 70s also, they can learn, log into Facebook, they can connect to Twitter. That means the penetration of the technology has to happen to the extreme root level of the human society. And we need to delegate a lot of the sophisticated tasks to somebody else. With artificial intelligence, we want to do, for example, today doctors are not able to prescribe or diagnose a particular disease. Can this be done with the computers? It's going to change the way we live our life. These are the advanced set of technology. We want to go to moon, we want to go to space, we want to go to Mars, but it has not taken our jobs away. Artificial intelligence is going to be much more advanced, going to change our life. It's going to probably generate a lot of jobs in the industry. That's my view, because we need to build, we need to train our computers to do certain things so that computers can do the regular stuff or some of the things, and we can focus on, because we have a shortage of human brains in the world, right? Although like India, we think about like approximately 120 crores of people, but actually we are a huge shortage of human brains as well. So I believe computers will help you to do a lot of things that you are struggling to do today. You're spending a lot of time so that you can focus on much more advanced things. With that, thank you so much, and I really wish you all the best, because some of you are in first year, second year, third year, final year. I'm sure like 20 years down the line, well, I'll retire from my job. I'll see India in a very different position, and that's going to be possible only because of you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you, Shubhabrata.